Alright, yeah, welcome back to some more Magic Arena, and today we're going to be going in for a little bit more best of one, and we're going to be playing with one of my favourite cards from the set, so hopefully you're not too bored of it, but we're going in with another Thassa deck. This time, instead of Reanimator, we're going with a Blink list, so obviously the idea of this is to exile permanents and then have them re-enter the battlefield so that you can trigger their enter the battlefield abilities, so we've got a lot of that in the deck. I have played this only once after building it, and I won, which means it's definitely really, really good, and you should all craft it. We played against Mono Blue Tempo and actually made their deck look like a joke, because it kind of is, to be fair. I don't think Mono Blue Tempo's really a deck anymore, but, you know. Is what it is. Anyway, so Thassa Deep Dwelling is our 4-mana enchantment creature, 6/5, indestructible as long as your devotion to blue is less than 5. Thassa is not a creature. At the beginning of your end step, you exile up to one target creature control and then return that card to the battlefield under your control. And then there's also an activated ability which comes into play on occasion as well, 3 and a blue to tap another target creature, so you can lock your opponent down if you are kind of really whiffing on good cards, which shouldn't really happen because a lot of the cards in our deck are actually card draw based as well. So the main cards that we want to be flickering in this list, well, the absolute primary is probably Elite Guard Mage because it doubles down as 2 different kind of effects. It's a 4-mana 2/3 with flying, so it's reasonably statted, not too great, but the enter the battlefield ability allows us to gain 3 life and draw a card, which gives us pretty decent aggro matchups, and just allows us to draw more cards and just keep the engine churning. We also have Neoform in here as well, which did actually change up the deck a little bit as to how it was built. It's green and blue for a sorcery. As an additional cost to cast this spell, you sacrifice a creature, search your library for a creature card with converted mana cost equal to 1, plus the sacrifice creature's converted mana cost, and then put that onto the battlefield. So if we Neoform a 2, we will get a 3. If we Neoform a 3, we will get a 4. If we Neoform a 4, we'll get a 5. So yeah, we've got a nice little balance going up, and there's a little bit of a toolbox kind of effect to the list as well, just thanks to the Neoform. We also have Charming Prince as another way to flicker our cards, but again, it's another one of those early game cards. It's really nice to create some consistency with the deck as well. 2 mana for a 2/2. We can either choose to scry 2, which is increasing the consistency. If we're up against a red matchup, we could gain 3 life, or we could actually use it as a one-time kind of Thassa effect as well, to exile a creature we own and then return it to the battlefield under our control at the beginning of next end step. Flickering a creature we own is very specific because should we somehow manage to get hold of our opponent's creatures, like a role reversal, which isn't going to happen because we have no steal in this deck, essentially, then we cannot flicker that spell. But if our opponent steals a card from us, then we can actually flicker that card and return it to the battlefield under our control, which is kind of cool. So we can reclaim something with the Charming Prince, which is pretty sweet. We also have one Tristani in here. As I mentioned, we have a kind of a toolbox-esque strategy as well. So Agents of Treacheries and Mass Manipulations. Tristani gets around that somewhat as well, allowing us to gain control of all of our creatures at the beginning of our end step as well. So we don't really want to be stealing our opponent's stuff anyway, because we want to be taking ours back. And Tristani to be flickered as well is really nice, because it allows us to make 2 1/1 soldiers with lifelink, which allows us to gain a lot of life, a lot of blockers, and really stabilize the game. We have a little bit of an elemental sub-theme as well, trying to increase the chances of getting to Thassa nice and early as well. Turn 3 Thassa with the Leafkin Druids. It is an elemental as well, so we go turn 2 Leafkin Druid and then turn 3 into Thassa. We are running 3 Thassas as well, and the reason for that is actually because we have Neoforms, we can turn all of these cards into a Thassa. So that is something to be aware of. And if you're wondering why I'm running Banishing Lights as well, instead of just Deputy of Detentions, 1, Banishing Light's a little bit harder to remove, and also if our opponent's somehow playing Hushbringer, which is sort of a thing in Fringe decks as well, where they're trying not to have their Uros be sacked and things like that, it actually stops Enter the Battlefield abilities, which means we have no way of removing it outside of Banishing Light. So I just wanted to have some cards in here that actually give me a chance of getting rid of the Hushbringer, so that's one of the reasons for that. We can just kind of like outvalue them in the late game, because we have some pretty decent bodies on our 5 drops. Cavalier of Dawn is one of our removal spells, 4/6 for 5, and that allows us to turn any permanent we want into a 3/3 golem. So we can kill planeswalkers, we can kill, you know, certain enchantments, artifacts, things like that. We also have Tolsimir, which is another bit of removal. It's really cool with Tolsimir when you have Thasser out, because Tolsimir makes a 3/3, which whenever that enters the battlefield, it fights a creature if you choose to do so. You gain 3 life as well. But with the flicker on Thasser actually means that we get 2 3/3s, and the fact that they're legendary means we don't really want to have multiple copies of Voja, Friend to Wolves, or Voha. Don't know, either way. But we can actually use this to fight twice on the same turn if we play it while there's a Thasser out, which means we can get rid of 6/6s with a Tolsimir, which is kind of cute. But yeah, any additional copies of Thasser, if we manage to turn her into a creature, or Elite Guard Mages, can give us access to these cards. And yeah, we've got a Brainstormer, we've got a Lord Effect and Creature Returner kind of thing, and we've got 2 removal spells in creatures here for 4 cards, so that's pretty cool. Yeah, Risen Reef here for the elemental synergy, as I mentioned before. If you can flicker these, then you are going to look at the top cards equal to the amount of Risen Reefs that you have in play as well, which is very nice. It's not card draw, so Narset doesn't affect this, which is very nice. 2 copies of Night of Autumn, which can be repeatable artifact and enchantment removal. They can be big bodies, and we can change this up as well, because it's a modal effect, which we get to re-choose whenever we flicker Night of Autumn. So we can turn our 2s into enchantment and artifact removal, or life gain if we really want to as well. It'll come out as a 3/2 thanks to the Neoform, and we can put even some more counters on it as well. So it'd be a 5/3 if we really want to put the counters on, which is really nice for a destroy a 2 into a 3 kind of drop. So yeah, that's going to be the deck anyway. Hopefully this deck performs the way I hope it does. The mana base is pretty balanced as well, for the record. It's pretty much even, because, I mean, our curve's pretty much even as far as colours are concerned as well, so we should hopefully have things down, shouldn't be colour screwed, and we should be able to draw out of it anyway, because we have a lot of card draw. We've got Fibblethip here as well as a little bit of early game draw, and, you know, Charming Prince, as we mentioned, to do the Scry 2 to make sure that we have everything we need right when we need it. This deck looks like it should be incredibly consistent, but we'll have to see. We might even want a 4th Thasser. I'm only running 3 because I have ways of finding her. This is basically another 4 copies of Thasser, so that was my thinking, and you don't really want to legend rule this card. The only way this is going to go away is through Banishing Lights and D-Sparks and things like that, and we have our answers to the Banishing Lights, so hopefully we should be all good. Anyway, without further ado, let's get into the gameplay. Hopefully you guys enjoy the deck. If you do, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe, all that jazz, and I'll see you on the battlefield. Alrighty then, we're in, and essentially everything's castable. We have to draw 2 spells here, so we should be able to find our white mana in time. Night of Autumn can be held a little bit later, since we might want to use the artifact and enchantment removal anyway. It's all dependent on what our opponent's playing, but yeah, I think this is pretty decent. Half the time against like aggro decks, it's going to be Cavalcade, and they've got 1 toughness creatures very early on, so Fibblethip can be a decent blocker. So yeah, I'm going to keep this hand, and we're going to see what happens. Fabled Passage for our opponent, okay. Also helps that we're on the draw as well, so we're happy to see lands, we're happy to see 4 drops, we're happy to see pretty much everything. Tolsimir is not too bad. Again, this just requires a white source, so should be able to curve out nicely. There's a Paradise Druid, okay. And we did get our white source, which is very good. I think I'm going to hold it for now and just go for the Fibblethip here. In case we draw like a basic, then we just don't need to shock ourselves to play our white source next turn, which is very good. So what's our opponent playing then? Boggles, perhaps? Could be. Which Night of Autumn is going to be very good at dealing with, if that is the case. So we don't have any removal for Citizen Champion right now, which could be a problem. Without a doubt. Do we want to just go with Risen Reef here and see what we can do? Or do we want to make sure that we have a big creature to block the champion? I think the flickering of Night of Autumn is actually the important part here. So I'm going to go with the Risen Reef. If we draw a Neoform, then we've got access to Thasser at that point. Tristani's not too bad. So yeah, we can Neoform into a 3-drop, which is more Risen Reefs, Deputy of Detentions, Night of Autumns, things like that. Warbriar's Blessing. Oh dear. Yeah, goodbye, Risen Reef. That's okay, though. Yeah, the champion's going to be the big problem here. It really needs removing, and I don't think we've got a good way of doing it outside of Cavalier of Dawn at the moment. But if we can chump block it for a long time with, like, Tristani, then we should be okay. Okay, we're not going to block just yet. Value the Thibblethip. Oh, does this fizzle? No, it doesn't fizzle, does it? Alright. So yeah, now we've got ourselves our 4-drop Elite Guard Mage. So I think we're going with that. Let's get that down. Opponent has 2 mana open, and it held as well. So they probably have a way of protecting with, like, Karamitra's Blessing, if I had to guess. So we're going to pass. Charming Prince, not too bad. We're going to be looking to probably Tolsimir next turn. Yeah, there's all the glitter as well. Maybe actually it's going to be Night of Autumn to get rid of that all that glitters. Yeah, what's the wording on this one? If Thibblethip becomes a target of a spell, shuffle it into its owner's library. This is an additional cost, so... in theory, I think we should be able to Neoform Thibblethip for a Night of Autumn just fine. Yeah, the problem is we've got to take all this damage. And that's really not good. Let's find out, shall we? Because this is probably maybe a lost matchup. Yeah. Okay, that was right. We could do that. Very good. Right, so let's do... I mean, we could go for Deputy Detention and get rid of Setters and Champions, stop the card draw. If they have another Warbriar's Blessing, they get it back, though. But then we're going to Night of Autumn. Yeah, I think we'll go Deputy Detention. Get rid of Setters and Champions. See if they've got the Karamitra's Blessing, which gives it hexproof and indestructible. Yeah, okay, so we're going to have to deal with that later. For now, we're going to have to flicker play Night of Autumn. Get rid of the all that glitters. Because that is a lot of damage. And at least now the Hunted Witness is blockable for the time being. The Setters and Champion, yeah, it's really not good for us. There's no way they don't have, another artifact and enchantment here. I think they've got off to just a bit too good of a start for us, unfortunately. But we do get to flicker Deputy Detention and get rid of 2 Setters and Champions because they're tapped out now. So we want to, I think, we probably want to do it with the Guard Mage. We want to keep these 2 as flicker potential for later. So we're going to flicker Deputy Detention with Charming Prince, and that's going to get rid of 2 creatures, which is going to be really nice. And then we've got a Guard Mage we can play, I guess. So, exile a creature you own, and then return it on the end step. That's for the Setters and Champions right there. Yeah, we have to shock ourselves, but we're gaining 2 anyway. So this should be just fine to play the Elite Guard Mage here. It's a chump blocker if it comes to it. And we pass. Deputy comes back, and we get rid of the Champions. We have chump blockers. We have good follow-up cards. They've got another Setters and Champions, so if we can flicker the Deputy, we can get another champion underneath it. We've got Sentinel's Eyes, okay. Still blockable on the Elite Guard Mage, though, and we will take that block. The fact that they've got the Vigilance on the Paradise Druid now is obviously quite problematic. So I think we want to just block with Charming Prince. Yeah, I think we do. And I think it might just be Tristani. Makes some blockers that we can use to chomp, and then it turns the Voja token into a 4/4, which is a little bit better. It's not great, because we don't really have a good target anyway right now. So I think this is just kind of what we have to do. There we go. Play some Shocklands. And we will swing like that, I believe. Alright, so on the off chance those 4 cards in hand are not enchantments, we can kill the champion. It's just not going to happen though, in fairness. Yeah, right there and then. Okay. Yeah, we really need to find our Thassa and quick. Warbriar's Blessing fights Deputy Detention. Yeah. That's a bad one. They're here to stay now. So we're just gonna single block. We need a good block. Another card off the top that's good. Otherwise, we're just very much done for. Up to 6. We got a Tolsimir to fight 1 champion. Oh, there's a Cavalier. That's really good. Okay. For now, I think we might want to just Tolsimir and make a 4/4. Which can kill a Citizen champion. We can use it to block. And then Cavalier can get a champion and turn it into a 3/3 when it's a little bit more hard to manage. So we'll fight the 1/3. And now we've got a blocker as well to work with. Ugh, come on. As someone who really likes this Boggles list, I know for a fact it can be very hit or miss, and our opponent has gotten some pretty good hits this time around. Can we afford to swing in with the Guard Mage? We're going to be blocking 3 creatures. Probably not really. Yeah, just in case, we'll hold back. The problem is they're drawing 2 off of every enchantment, which means the chances of whiffing at this point are very low. If they don't have Season of Growth or Citizen Champion, then this deck kind of just flails after a while. Yep, they get on in. And we're going to block with the Voja token. Gonna block with the Guard Mage. And I think we leave it at that. We take 4. I think maybe they've got a lot of blessings here. Yeah, have you got enough to just hit me for 9? No. Okay, well they've used that one quite aggressively, which means my Cavalier has a good chance of actually taking it out now. Oh, and Charming Prince. That's beautiful. It could be a bit awkward, though, because we have to shock to get it in. And we're not removing their creature count, per se. I guess I could flicker Tristani, though, with Charming Prince, and that gets me... Actually, we'll flicker Tolsimir, and that will make us an extra token and fight the Citizen champion. So let's try to get rid of this... this champion here. Looks like they've got the Karamitra's Blessing, sure. And then we'll go Shock in, Charming Prince on Tolsimir. And that'll come back, fight the 1/3 Citizen champion. And gain us 3 life. We are really struggling. Alright, they're getting in. There's no way they have another blessing, so this is our opportunity to maybe get rid of Paradise Druid here. Artifacts and enchantments in our yards are non-existent at the moment, so Cavalier's not going to do us any good there. I think we go 4, 5, 6, 7. And we can't take the 6, so we have to block that as well. Let's block with Charming Prince. Alright, we got rid of the permanently hexproof creature. 4th Citizen Champion, and they've got the Sentinel's Eyes here as well as just a free card, since we got it off the Paradise Druid. We need a good card here. If it's a land, we're just done. We have a decent enough mana base that we can play multiple cards in the same turn. We need, like, Thasser, I think. I think it might even be too late, to be honest, though. Sentinel's Eyes on the Hunted Witness, going wide, and what do we draw? It's a land, which means we are dead. So we'll shock ourselves to assert dominance, swing with everything, and that's going to be the game. Yeah, that land needed to be pretty much any creature. I think if we'd have got another Tolsimir, that would have been meh. Cavalier would have drawn us something nice. Another Cavalier would have removed a creature. Elite Guard Mage could have just led into another card. Same with Risen Reef. Knight of Autumn, meh. Gets rid of like all the glitters, but that's really about it. And yeah, I suppose there were a few non-draws there, like Even Leaf Kindred. It's basically, effectively just another land, so... Well, we put up a good fight, but we just couldn't quite get there in the end. Alrighty then, we're in, and we got the Risen Reef combo, i.e. we've got 2 Risen Reefs. So we're going to keep this one and see what happens. Decent mana base as well. We should be able to get to the 4th and 5th mana for the rest of our cards. Alright, this is a matchup I actually want to see. I want to know if we can survive to the late game with this deck. We definitely don't have the hand that I would ideally want here. I want my 2 Charming Princes and things like that to gain life along the way. Like a nice curve of Charming Prince into Knight of Autumn into Guard Mage is really ideally what I'm looking for. A complete lack of interaction all the way up until my 4 drops. Not so much. So we'll see. And there they start flowing. Okay. Well, I will be trading off my Tin Street Dodger and Risen Reef here for sure. I do not mind. Opponent has the absolute nut off here, so that's great. So yeah, we just want damage off the board. Opponent rolled over a land with Robber of the Rich. And yeah, we're just going to go with the Elite Guard Mage. Gain some life. Put a decent blocker on board, which needs a 3 damage burn spell answer. I'm sure they don't struggle with that. They've got Skewer the Critics. And maybe Slaying Fire. Shock if I block the Robber of the Rich, which I think I'm going to do, because I've got Tristani, it's fine. That's more life gain anyway. We can flicker Charming Prince and Tristani. Infuriate. Wow. Okay. Alrighty then. That's a thing. And my Cavalier of Dawn. Just naturally managed to cast that one off, didn't you? Okay, well. Tristani. Gimme blockers, and give me my Cavalier. Yo. That's a thing. Alright, no double burn spell. Alright, Mountain. Cool. I think we win now. Opponent swings right into my life gain creatures and gets another land. Alright, so we want to kill Robber of the Rich because it's taken enough from us already. And yeah, we just want to block absolutely everything. I think this is our opponent's admission of defeat. Yeah, he made some satyrs, that's fine. Charming Prince is going to flicker Tristani, and we're also going to Knight of Autumn and gain some life here. We could actually Banishing Light Anax, I guess. Exile a creature you control. Actually, I should have... I've sequenced this wrong. I should be swinging first, but they're going to block with Anax, right? Not anymore, because I'm going to Banishing Light. Yeah, I missed out on 2 points of damage here, which is definitely incorrect. But this is okay. They got nothing to do. Game's over. Swing for 4. And this is literally the matchup that I was teching against when I built the deck. Because I played nothing but mono red yesterday, and it was the least amount of fun I've ever had playing Magic the Gathering. So, yeah, the fact that we can just Ruffle Stomp them by not playing anything until turn 4 is pretty good. Alrighty then. This is a weird hand. I think we can keep it, but I'm not a big fan of it. We can go turn 3 Risen Reef, and we can Neoform that into a Thassa. But if we do that, we have nothing to flicker. We do have removal, so it can shape into a decent enough hand here if we're careful about it. Let's just lead off with one of the shocks. I think we're going to go Hollowed Fountain. On the off chance we get Charming Prince or Fibblethip next turn, we want to just Vantress. Pelt Collector, okay. So we're going to go tap Temple Garden and pass. Next turn, Risen Reef, and hope for the best that we get a land, essentially, so we can Elite Guard Mage. No, we got a land anyway, so that's okay. So Vantress, Risen Reef, and land tapped. Very good. Okay. So we're going to be wanting to Neoform Risen Reef into Thassa, and then have Elite Guard Mage to start drawing and discarding. What on earth is our opponent playing? Great Henge and Shadow Spear. Well, no Thassa for us. We can get a 5-drop with the Guard Mage, though. Should have Templed first. Tolsimir. Not bad. Alright, Forest to the bottom. Can't really block the Growth Chamber Guardian, unfortunately, because they can adapt it for 3 mana. Make it a 4/4. I'm just gonna go right out ahead and do it, are you? Okay. Well, I'm probably trading off with a Glow Spore Shaman in that case. Get that damage off the board, and then we'll use Tolsimir to fight Pelt Collector and gain a bit of life. That's just pretty good. So let's gain a bit of life. And play our tap land. If our opponent sequences this a little bit weirdly, either by not having their land drop and playing Growth Chamber, or playing another creature here, I'm just going to go straight to the adapt. Okay. Well, we can flicker Tolsimir and get Voger tokens to gain life and at least have some blockers. Yeah, we're not blocking. Let's see if we can beat this, because it's going to be pretty difficult. Oh, we could Deputy Detention, actually. Leafkin Druid into Deputy is not too bad. And then we can flicker Deputy to get that other Growth Chamber in their hand out. Yeah, I like that. Neoform, Leafkin. Into Deputy Detention. At least take the counters off is the upside here. We know our opponent's running Disfigure, which is a card I haven't seen in a while. I was playing that during the streamer event because I figured it'd be not too bad. Which it isn't, to be fair. There's a Rotting Regisaur. And Growth Chamber Guardian. So we want to be Banishing Lighting the Regisaur. Actually, no we don't, because we just want to be blocking it with the Voge token and forcing our opponent to discard to hand size. I'll just discard every turn. So we're going to play Thassa. And we're going to pass the turn. We're going to flicker Tolsimir and fight the Growth Chamber Guardian. And that gives us a 3/3 token to block the Regisaur, which we shouldn't have to worry about because they're not in colours for Embercleave. So our opponent discards. We'll get rid of it once our opponent has no cards in hand. And at that point we have nothing to worry about. Bark-Eyed Troll, okay. And Glowspore Shaman. Alright, so since the token Tolsimir makes is legendary, we don't really want it around anyway. So this is a nice and easy block for us. It's profitable even when it doesn't look like it. Because now we can play our land, Banishing Light Regisaur now they're empty-handed. And then Flicker Tolsimir and fight Barkeye Trolls and Glowspore Shamans until they're dead. Awesome. Alrighty then, Double Temple and Shockland is okay. I actually don't mind this hand. Can flick a Rhythm Reef, so this is kind of like having an elemental around. Got removal. Got nice filtering as well on the Scry 2s if we choose to do it that way. Yeah, it's fine. We'll lead off with Temple of Plenty, so we have our White Source untapped for next turn. And we do not want the overcosted cards this early. Ooh, opponent got the Slaver Sleeves. Pretty. I kind of feel like it would be awesome if they kind of have like an indentation, so it kind of has like a 3D pop-out effect. That'd be cool. If it looks like it pops out of the card sleeve. Wouldn't be very realistic to compare it to other card sleeves, but still. Are we going to go with Risen Reef next turn? One's got Overgrown Tomb. Not really sure what I can place them on here. Yeah, I think I might just go with the Temple and get this out of the way. Another Temple. Not going to be playing that next turn. Might want it, but Risen Reef could hit as a land as well. So either Risen Reef or Deputy is going to become our Neoform target for Thassa. Just even flickering Charming Prince is not too bad though, because there's still some modes on here, even when Charming Prince doesn't have anything to also flicker. There's still something to do with it, which is pretty decent. Okay, opponent's on Sultai, which is an interesting combo. So let's shock ourselves, play Risen Reef, hope for a land. Yeah, alrighty then. So now we have Neoform into Thassa, into Charming Prince for Thassa to flicker, which isn't too bad. There's a Paradise Druid, okay. An Elite Guard Mage. So yeah, we don't really want to risk our opponent blocking the Risen Reef, being that they have two Paradise Druids. It's definitely a potential thing that they could do. So let's get our Thassa out and use that to flick a Charming Prince. This one's going to be a Scry, and if we like what's on top, then we're not going to be flickering again. I'm not terribly pleased with what's here. I kind of like the land drop. And we've got the Elite Guard Mage, which is the next flicker target anyway. Yeah, I think I'll just take the land drop so we can do that. Let's go Charming Prince. And we don't know what card's underneath Vantress, but we don't necessarily need to find that out anyway. I guess it's good to know what Elite Guard Mage is going to draw, though. Cavalier of Gales. Yes, got the 3 blue. Yeah, I like that. Opponent's got Tamio. Passive's not going to do us any harm whatsoever. Filling up the graveyard could be a little bit annoying if they've got Uros and Polucrinoses, then might be in a bit of trouble. But if we have Deputy Detention to flicker, when it comes to Uro, it's going to re-enter the battlefield, get its trigger of course, but then it's going to sacrifice itself. Opponent's got Casualties of War and Jace, Wielder of Mysteries, so they're trying to deck themselves. You literally do not run Jace unless self-mill is your primary win con. So that's something that we maybe have to concern ourselves with. We've only got creature or land for Casualties of War in the graveyard to hit. And that's not terrible. We've got a spare of whatever we play here. We don't want to be doing Deputy Detention necessarily. Although I do like hitting the Paradise Druid and the Tamio. I guess I will hit the Tamio. Just get that out of the way now. Stops their graveyard from actually mattering. Stops them filling it, which is assuming... I'm assuming that's what they want to be doing. And yeah, let's just flick a Charming Prince. This time I might gain 3 life. Again though, we're going to be drawing Cavalier. We don't know what's underneath it. It's a land drop, which isn't terrible. We're not really struggling right now. I think we've got everything we need, so maybe just, yeah. Maybe just a land drop is fine. I do wonder whether or not something like a Loaming Shaman would be a good one-of in this deck, just to shuffle in the cards that we end up losing to either like Neoform or board wipes. It would be quite nice. The opponent's swinging. I don't know if I care. This could be... This could be board wipe bait. I think I'm fine with this. So they've got a board wipe, we're losing it anyway, but I don't want to play too much into a board wipe. Yeah, assuming that it's just a full-on bluff. Okay, so I'm going to go Cavalier. It's the least likely to care about being board wiped, and we get rid of Thassa. Get rid of Fibblethip. We want... I guess just in case, the spare Thassa. And now we have a really good attack. We make our land drop for the turn. We get on in, and we will flicker Cavalier of Gales. Do another Brainstorm. Put back Fibblethip, and it really doesn't matter at this point. They're all good. Put Elite Guard Mage on top. Yeah, I just don't see how we lose now. Casualties of War doesn't do anything, really. It gets them back a Tamiyo. That's basically about it. Kills a land, but we don't really care all that much. Everything that's hard to cast is already on board. You can always flicker Deputy Detention as well with Charming Prince to reapply the removal source if we want that. Yeah. Land. And dead. Alright, that was a weird deck from our opponent. Not gonna lie. It was a weird one. I appreciate it though. With all the tier 1 decks going around and the lack of an ability to make homebrews with this current standard, it's way too powerful to just make fun decks these days, but, you know, we try our hardest, I guess. That's all we really can do. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed today's matchups. They were pretty fun, as is this deck as well. I think maybe they might want to have a Loaming Shaman in here, just because of the fact that we do end up losing to board wipes, or losing value to board wipes anyway. It's always nice when your deck is nice and low to refuel it full of gas anyway. So could do with one Loaming Shaman in the deck just as a Neoform target off of like Charming Princes and Leafkin Druids and whatnot. But other than that, I think it's maybe just... I think it's maybe exactly where it needs to be honest. Pretty happy with the 3 Thassas. Never really struggled too much with that. Again, that's another reason why I might want Loaming Shaman in the deck, is just so I can put my spare Thassas in the deck, but White Cavalier is another way to pull those back, so again, might not be necessary. I don't know. I'm going to play around with this deck for a while, so yeah. Hopefully you guys enjoyed, as I mentioned. Make sure to hit the like button and subscribe if you did. Other than that, though, I will see you all next time. Bye-bye.